Let's talk about sales mistakes. What are some of these classic mistakes that we make? And I guess in the context of creatives, because
Right.
I'm not great at sales. I'm creative. I've become better at sales, but
You must be good at sales, Brian.
I'm getting better.
Okay.
There's a lot of room for improvement, and I'm not just saying that to pretend to be humble. Like,
Right.
I want to get better. Like, I'm still making mistakes. So let's break that down a little bit. Some of these classic sales mistakes.
I love talking about sales.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm one who can say that I've got all this training. But the interesting thing is, back in the days of Clubhouse, when we had all these sales professionals teaching sales coaching, I would join those rooms and we would talk and we would compare notes. And I was thinking, shoot, I think I have a whole different way of looking at this that is only, I think it's going to be more effective, but especially for creative people who identify as a creative, whether you design or not. Okay. And there's lots of things that are creative. There's a lot of examples out there of a very specific stereotypical salesperson who is usually extroverted, who's very charismatic. Like, we imagine Leo DiCaprio in The Wolf of Wall Street, who could sell anything to anybody, as they say, right? Ice to ice Eskimos or something like that. And they can do that. And then we think we must be like that. And they're using all these high-level psychological tricks and ways to manipulate people to say yes. And they're usually almost always criminal in their behavior, at least the way it's portrayed in popular media.
Yeah, and some of it's from the Dale Carnegie book too, right?
Perhaps, right? And if you say, like, well, we have a lot of examples of how not to do it, then we're going to have a knee-jerk reaction to, like, I don't want to do it, I hate it. And we tell ourselves this story, and it's a lie, which is, if the work is good enough, I won't have to sell. I mean, I've said it myself. My professors have said this, and it's propagated a lot. And people will often critique me whenever I talk about sales, like, no, it's because your work's not good. That's why, because if your work were better, you wouldn't have to do any of this stuff. And here's what I was taught by my former business coach and mentor. He said, doing good work is the cost of entry. It's not a selling point. You don't even get invited in the room if your work is not good. So now you have to accept that at a certain level, especially with the global market as it is, you have to be good. Otherwise, I'm not talking to you. Mm-hmm. So if you take that off the table, what else is there?
Right.
Now we begin the art of learning how to talk to people, how to serve them. So I have a very simple framework that I've used to describe the concept to people, and then there's like a lot of nuance in between. So if we look at the word sales, let's break it down as an acronym. So I'll break it down first. So SALES, the S is for serve, and the A is for asking, the L is for listening, E is for empathize, and then the last S is to summarize. Notice there's no selling in this at all.
I love that.
Okay. So it is an order of importance, because if your mindset is not to serve the person in front of you, then you're doing it for self-centered, self-motivated reasons, selfish reasons. And people can tell. We're so smart right now, right? Because we're pitched to all the time. Everywhere you go, you cannot turn anywhere on the internet and not be pitched something. So we have an averse response to being sold to. But if I sit there and think to myself, what does the person in front of me really want and need at this moment in time that's going to make a big impact on their business or their personal life? I just want to find out what that is. And if I can, I want to act as a fiduciary, even though we have no relationship. Like, what is the best thing for Brian to do with his business and his life? Not what is Brian interested in that can serve me.
Yeah. Can I just say one thing? You're so spot on. I get reminded of it almost every day. I get pitched a lot, people asking me to do things, and I'm just blown away at how almost never people will say, what do you need? They'll just say, this is what I need.
All the time.
Brian, this is what I want you to do. Can you do this for me? Not once do they ask, what do you need? It's amazing.
Yes. And you must be reading my DMs, because that's all they do. They're like, Chris, I need work. Chris, I need a referral. How do you solve this problem? And so it doesn't take that much to totally stand out from everyone else. So if 99% of the people who are reaching out to your prospect saying, I want to sell you something, and you show up, it's like, I noticed something about your business. Is there something that you need help with? I have some ideas, but I'd love to just talk to you about that. Yeah. That's going to be a pattern interruption. And then the relationship begins on the right foot, but it has to be done from a genuine place. Meaning, if the prospect presents a problem that you don't do the or you don't do as well as somebody else that you know, you owe it to that person to say, I hear the problem. It's super clear. Hate to do this, but it's really, you need to talk to this other person. They're going to do it better, faster, and cheaper than I could. But what you're doing is you're playing a different game. I'm hopefully building trust
Yes.
and rapport and a potential longer term relationship.